I don't get it.
Yep.
Help me understand.
They don't want you on a soapbox, Brad. They just want real Brad. X is so authentic.
Okay. Speaking of authenticity, we're going on Teddy's channel. The most authentic person I've ever met. Stay tuned for new cards.
Welcome back, my friends, to the Can't Stop Snapping podcast with a very special guest host, the return of Michael Blue Spruce, founder of the Can't Stop Snapping podcast, and as always, joined by Brad Sver. How are you guys doing?
Doing great.
What are the hype levels for the brand new season headlined by Daken?
I love any card that's like creating a new card with it. So
Yes.
I just love that flavor of any card. Thor, not in his original form, because Thor in his original form was horrible, but you know, Thor today, anything that's like doing something very unique like this, I just love. I think I want more cards like this.
And we're promised, we're getting a little tease in 2 seasons. We're going to get Black Knight within the weapon creating vein as well. We don't know any stats or too much specifics yet, but yes, they know that we want this. We hunger. Brad, where are you landing on Daken?
Daken in general or the entire season?
Let's start out with Daken.
If anyone was listening during the little break segment, I did say on the wonderful Twitters or X.com, which looks like a very suspicious site that you should not be browsing at work anymore, I guess.
So weird. It's so weird.
I think that Daken is going to be the best season pass card since original Zabu. I think that's where he's going to be at. I think he's going to be better than Nebula.
Crazy.
I think he's going to be better
Think
than...
he's better than Hitmonkey?
I think he's better than Hitmonkey.
Hitmonkey?
Here's you know why? Okay, Hitmonkey, very specifically, went in a bounce deck. Was very good and was the part of the reason why that deck was so great.
Yes.
Kitty Pryde really pushed it over the top, but Hitmonkey was a big player, which hence the reason they had a big change with him. Daken, I feel like, is a card that can just go in literally any deck you want. You can build around him if you really want to, with the discard stuff or the destroy packages, with like things like Carnage or not Lady Sif, what's her name? Colleen Wing.
Mm-hmm.
You can do things like that to go specifically in line with him, or do stupid crazy stuff with like Shuri and things like that to make him really big and Taskmaster. You can do that too. But you know what else you could do? You could play him in Surfer because he's a 3-drop. And you know what else Surfer likes to play? The Killmonger Nova package, which that just slots in nicely with this kind of card. You know what else deck likes to play the Killmonger Nova package? Sarah Control. And you know what Sarah Control really likes to play sometimes? Big cards. And they used to play a card like Maximus, but Maximus has the downside of making your opponent draw, and when you're trying to be a control player, you don't really want to give your opponent cards. You know what Daken does? Becomes a 3/8 at the minimum, and then doesn't give them cards.
Yep.
There's that too.
So do you think that Daken is good enough to run if you have only one activator for the shard?
Yes.
You do?
Nova's good enough to run when you have one activator with the Killmonger package.
But Nova is such a low opportunity cost loss, right? You're dropping him in as 1 energy pretty much anywhere in the game. I don't really care if I don't pop Nova. I don't feel like I wasted too much. Daken's a 3/4, which I didn't lose too much in the 4 power to not get that to double. So I guess that is fair. Michael, what about you?
Well,
Are you running this solo with one guy?
I like the angle from the Sarah Control. I love that deck, and so I think that's an interesting deck. I think notably, right, that just base increase from 4 to 8 if you're doubling his power is non-Shang-Chiable, right? So it's like a bigger body than you just said the name, the 3/7 Maximus.
He's a better Maximus. Look at him.
Yeah, he's a better Maximus. You don't have the downside. Right, so is that risk worth it? Because Maximus, right, he's great if you play him on turn 6. You're not, the cards your opponent draw is not helping them, generally. But Daken you can play down turn 3, turn 4, turn 5, turn 6,
now,
right?
It is important to line up. The Maximus comparison is not quite 1-to-1 because you're in this situation where we're playing him alongside the Killmonger for the activation. You do have to play the shard, which is 1 more energy. So then you're looking at the 4/8 in the combo. But again, the 1 cost is very easy, especially for the Sarah Control deck to fit in. They often have the freedom of 1 energy to be able to squeeze together. So it's not too much of a hindrance, but it's worth calling out here. Now, what about this? Daken he feels like the devs are promising this discard destroy hybrid deck. and the synergy with his dad, Wolverine, thematic synergy there. Is a hybrid deck actually going to be able to materialize? Do you guys have a pitch for what that could look like?
So I kind of have one in mind, but that's actually going back to the Sarah control list. I think
Sarah control will run a little bit of destruction and a little bit of discard.
Well, no, here's the thing. Like, what's a good card in Sarah control already? It's Killmonger, right? And that's just a good catch-all card. That's when you're already going to be playing with the Nova thing. You know what else you could maybe do? You could
Wing
maybe
and Swarm.
run. You can run Swarm and Colleen Wing.
Yeah,
as just
with,
a high. Maybe you're going into a bit more of a different deck now than Sarah Control. You cut Sentinel for Swarm, and then bring in Colleen Wing instead. And then maybe you're looking like instead of like something like Mysterio, you cut that for Colleen Wing, right?
Oh, keep the Mysterio for the Nakia, right? Nakia hitting either the Mysterio
if you're going into the Nakia thing
or the Swarm, they're all quite happy.
And if you have Bishop, right? Like.
Yeah. So you're looking at like a hand buff kind of deck that has tech cards with Sarah, which I think honestly, I mean that archetype I've seen been played quite a bit. Teddy, didn't you play it not too long ago, or make a little bit of a video on it or something? You do that from time to time.
I do that from time to time. I was also already trying to cram Colleen Wing into destruction. Because I loved the the high roll on being able to. I'm already running Wolverine. The high roll of being able to start him at 4 to then feed into a big Venom is amazing.
Yep.
And then hitting Swarm is also incredible because you get these free cards that you can drop down, Destroy to be able to go into Null. They're extra tokens to be able to discount Death. This really small discard package within Destroy was feeling pretty good already. And then with the additional upside here of another card that wants to be discarded by the Wing. I mean, listen, Colleen Wing is a 2/4. I just like playing a 2/4. And then if she gives me more upside, I'm very happy. Yeah.
I wonder, the classic Apocalypse with Dracula kind of a deck, right? Obviously you can put Daken in there, right? And maybe you're playing MODOK on 5 to get rid of the shard, right? But what are you replacing to put Daken in that one?
So Daken is a nice, interesting curve filler because sometimes I've noticed when playing discard, one of your biggest 3 drops is going to be Lady Sif, right? Yep. And you want to focus on APOC, but there are games where you don't have APOC in hand and you have MODOK in hand. So
you don't,
now you're in this weird. You don't want to play Colleen Wing on curve now, and it kind of messes you up. And now you're just kind of sitting there going, "I'm not playing anything." And now Daken can be this kind of bridge between these costs, where Daken's actually has a bit easier low cost thing. You can draw into Colleen Wing later to kind of get rid of the shard, or then you can MODOK later to just get rid of the shard in that manner.
Extra 4 power,
maybe you just cut Hellcow or something, or that seems. Maybe you just don't go with the Dracula version and you try to just actually play out APOC.
I was going to say keep the Dracula. I think that I was going to call this out on the discard list because I think that Daken does just raise the ceiling of the deck if you can find the curve play of setting up your being able to hit Colleen on 2 to be able to hit either the Wolverine or the Swarm. You're looking super happy. You play Daken on 3, you get the shard, you have the MODOK, and you fuel in. It just plays out so smoothly, and now the power ceiling is up. But I wonder if it brings the floor and the consistency actually down a little bit, because I'm still running the Storm version of the deck.
Nebula.
I don't think I want to cut. I don't think I want to cut Storm to be able to run the deck in. What I probably cut is I was running like Moon Knight or Gambit as a extra, just throw it out there in case I felt like I needed to do something. And Daken is an amazing throw it out if you need to do something.
Yeah, I would cut either of those for Daken, personally.
I think I cut Storm at one point.
You cut Storm as well.
There was a reason for it. It was like 2 or 3 months ago, honestly, when I did this, because that discard list I have to scroll pretty far back to the front to mess with, right? So I cut Storm. I even last time I messed with it a couple of days ago, I saw that Luke Cage was in there because there was so much Haiva running around at the time when I was messing with that list. Yeah. So I don't remember why I cut Storm, but there was a reason for it. I think I landed on Hellcow and Gambit as my fillers there, which ended up being just okay. Hellcow is an enigma to me. It's like sometimes it's very good, and you're like, this is cracked. Sometimes
it's like I have 3 cards in hand, and I need or 4 cards in hands. I needed to discard these 2 and not these 2, and that
of course,
yeah, the exact wrong ones. Yeah.
You would think your odds
I'm still
would be
running
better,
the Storm.
but
I love being able to play Dracula after Storm and then have the flexibility of like, do I invest my big APOC there, or do I just give it the Chavez later? Be able to figure out that flexibility.
Yeah.
It's
I do like that. That's probably one of my top 5 decks I like to play is that deck.
Yeah.
Running Nebula?
I run Nebula in the deck.
I do Sunspot instead.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I've seen the flip-flop between the two. I've leaned more towards Nebula for that list because when you were playing Storm, it made more sense to me.
Yeah.
But also, I think there was less floating I found with Sunspot in my experience, and more just like let Nebula do her thing. If she ends up being impactful, cool. If not, I'll figure it out later.
Yeah.
I also had a string of bad draws where I wasn't having the APOC in hand, and so then it's like I want Dracula to eat Chavez, and then I'm playing Swarms, and I'm just floating anyway. I'm looking over at my Nebula, and I'm like, oh, +2. I had 6 floated, so that's my reasoning.
That's fair. Sense. That's fair. I'll put the Nebula down first, right? And then I'm like, okay, am I going to play Storm in that location? Do I not have Dracula in hand? Maybe lock out that location with something else. But yeah, I think Sunspot, I mean, you can really go either direction.
Okay, so we like Daken and Discard. Mm-hmm. We are kind of all over the place on what a hybrid deck could be, which I think leans to like, it's going to be super fun to be able to test this card out.
I think there's
How about
experimentation.
Straight Destroy? Does Straight Destroy pick him up? Because Straight Destroy right now is pretty much always running his dad Wolverine. Does he slot in?
3 weeks, yes.
That's what's going to be the next thing.
When X-23 comes out, I think that makes a difference because then you can run Deadpool.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I think that you want to be able to bridge that gap of like awkward 1-drops, which X-23 really helps doing that. But as it stands right now,
now it's worth calling out. It's giving you a 1-drop that will be a token that can be destroyed for death.
Yes.
It's really not helping Null out very much, but it does fuel that side of the gameplay.
Specifically. Carnage is the one that benefits the most out of it. Now, and then Venom, honestly, even eating Daken after he's been buffed can be interesting too in different lines in that way. If you want to go like the Artem Zola route, you can start doing crazy stuff like that. There's a lot of different routes to go where I think he's probably fine. I just think he's going to be if you play him in a base destroy list, it's going to be the non-Deadpool variety, at least until X-23 comes out, and that's where you can kind of be like, I have this extra 1 mana oftentimes where I can bridge the gap of these awkward plays where I normally couldn't.
Yeah, I think the question is he better than Sabretooth? And I honestly don't know.
Sabretooth is really good for Venom, and I think the floor for Daken is not as good as Sabretooth.
But I would play Sabretooth in that case, yeah. I think that's fair. I think the Sabretooth is just so nice to get that 4 power into Venom and then have that, like just a 0 cost 4 power card in hand you can play for the rest of the game. Like,
and then you get that wonderful Shuri's Lab pop up, and you're like, oh, this is the best day ever.
Oh, it goes
so
hard.
big.
It goes hard.
You know, or they play no, that's good. I think he has a spot. Like, he has a spot in the hybrid, in the discard, in the destroy, right? I think there's probably a package he can work in any case. I think I'm personally more interested to try the discard than the destroy. Not because I don't think the destroy will be good. That sounds just a little more nuanced and interesting to me. I think there's good destroy packages out there already, and I don't know if he makes them necessarily how much better does he make them, right? Is it I just don't know how high the ceiling is there to improve that deck with just that 1 card.
Yeah.
That's my take.
You had a shot here, Brad?
This is exactly why I say he's going to be the best card since Zabu. Because think of the discussion we're having. Think of all the different decks we're even considering him to be good in.
Yeah.
The fact that he has that much capability of yes, you can look at Zabu and be like, oh my god, this makes 4-drops insane. We could pre-nerf Surfer. Oh my god, this is great for 3-drops. Daken, you're just like, you can argue pretty, I think I could be bought in to pretty much any argument someone presents to me of why Daken should be an X deck. I don't think there's a single deck where they say, maybe I could do a Daken thing with a Killmonger package, maybe throw in a single Carnage just to have some extra fallback or whatever, and I could just be like, I don't see why not. I don't see the super downside. Now maybe against like Kazoo is where I probably would be like, let's not do that. But otherwise, there's not very many decks where I'm like, don't play them.
Yeah. More flexibility than we've seen in a lot of other cards, right? Where it's like he can do a lot of things. A lot of cards are kind of which is fine, but a lot of cards are like a one-trick pony, right? They go in one archetype or two maybe, but he's 3+, right?
Yeah, 100%. Man, I'm hoping that for the hybrid deck, they bring Sabretooth over to discard. Give him that destroyed or discarded, and I am there for that free baby.
Yeah, because X23 is going to have the discard effect too. So it's weird that Sabretooth doesn't.
Yeah,
it's one of those things. It's like, why did we do this differently? I don't really know. We just did.
Well, the high roll is that I think like the Modok being able to hit Sabretooth and not get to hand to board for free is like too much. But I think the last two things that we have to close out the discussion is one, what's X23 going to do to this card that it releases in the middle of the month, which X23, Daken's living in X23's shadow already, I think, for hype in the community. And two, how are we doing the build around Daken deck? That's the one we haven't talked about. If you want to go all in, Daken's going to win me the game. How am I building this deck? Am I looking to get buffs on him, or am I looking to get duplicate shards?
I mean, yeah, so you can go the buff him route and play something like Taskmaster, right?
Yep.
But I think that just sounds hard. I mean, it's like doable, right? But it's like because if you're trying to Taskmaster, you have to be the last card you played.
Yeah.
And so it's like...
It can't be if you're going to destroy the shard.
Exactly. So
right.
So you could like...
You have to, like,
I mean, you could like Shuri into Daken, but then again, you have to destroy the shard before you can Taskmaster, so it's like...
You'd have to do something really dumb. Like, you'd have to have Shuri into Daken. No, then that doesn't work. So I'm thinking about Negasonic.
It's turn 6 all of a sudden, and you can't...
Yeah, it's really tight. And then he's going to be so vulnerable to Shang-Chi if you try and buff him. I think keeping him at 8 is actually better. Shang-Chi is the most popular card in the game. And sadly, with the new Hulkbuster, he's immediately vulnerable to Shang-Chi, whether he doubles or not. So you can't even like initiative surprise them and get over the threshold, but it's like he's a 3/9 and then would double to 18.
Question. Is he a good bridge for Phoenix Force? That's already doing a lot of destroy stuff. We're just like, you don't have Phoenix Force. The deck's kind of bad when you don't have Phoenix Force. So you might as well give extra fodder to destroy and get a little bit more power oomph, right? As like a little fallback plan. I know that deck's very finely tuned at this point with like what's in it, but like, man, it feels bad when you don't have Phoenix Force. It's like a Nimrod deck without Nimrod.
Yeah.
But that one is trying to use Nimrod to win without Phoenix. Yeah, I don't know, because I think that Phoenix Force deck is like, it's already trying to bridge multiple archetypes.
Yep.
And Daken is like, and then here's Daken. I don't know if that...
5 combos in one deck.
Yes.
Yeah.
When it all works together, you're going to be like, clip it. This
Big
is the Twitch clip, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that just his general applicability and like scooting him in when you already have just a random Destroy ready with the Killmonger could actually be his most playable state.
Yeah, I don't think he's your win condition. I don't think you're like specifically like, I need to make him so big to win the location by himself, right? I think like Brad says, I mean, he's just a good card with a lot of flexibility that can be another option and often a better option in a lot of different decks.
Yeah, I'd agree. All right. And then when his sister comes out, X23, does this bring us to like Mach 5? Or is it... Do you guys think that you're going to need both to be able to be really competitive?
Can I start with a hot take, I guess?
Cook it up.
I think X23 is going to be this month's Jean Grey. It's going to be
she's
fine,
overhyped.
but I think vastly overhyped.
Really?
I hear the screams of
we're reading the same card description, right? Like
we are, yes. Energy manipulation, mana cheating is very good. Yes. But if there's one deck, that's why I think specifically she needs to go in a Deadpool version of the deck, Because if there's one
Yes.
deck that runs out of steam pretty quickly when you start throwing out all your stuff with extra energy, it's destroy decks. You only have a limited amount of things that do the destroy. And yes, being able to play, like, you can do some cuter things, right? With, like, your Null on 6 and then Artem Zola, or Null on 5, Artem Zola on 6 kind of thing, right? That's always fun. You can get the extra energy to get Deadpool underneath to go with Null or a death that you didn't quite get low enough or something like that, right? It does act as a great gap, like, bridge. It's going to make that deck better. I'm not arguing that in any way, shape, or form. But I think we're kind of seeing the hype as if she's the next Jesus, and I don't think she quite fits that bill for me.
Well, here's the thing: is I think that she just kind of replaces Yondu in like the basic Destroy deck right now, and she is an upgrade there. So that alone is really nice. But what I see, my worry here, so my worry with X23 is her ceiling as a hard cutoff because Armor and Cosmo just exist. Like, destruction can only get so good. Now, I predicted this for Bounce as well because I thought Bounce could only get so good when Sandman and Wave and Killmonger lived, and it was still good. Past everything. But I don't know if Destroy can do the same tricks.
Well, that's why you play Echo in your deck. Yeah. That's why you play Echo in the deck. Play it down right before they put the Cosmo, and you're
genuinely speaking, I was talking about this when Echo was spoiled. I was like, at worst, if you play it in Destroy, you play Echo on 1, tell them you're not going to armor this lane. I can get Bucky down behind her and then Carnage, and you get guaranteed power in that lane without worrying about your gameplay getting disrupted. That doesn't seem bad.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem bad.
Yeah, no, I like it. We're going to see where she lands. Do we want to do highlights for any of the other cards? So if you're saying that X23 is overhyped, who's the sleeper hit? Who's going to be the Legion of this season? You have a pick, Michael?
There's only 3 cards, right?
It's true. There's a very small pool.
Well, out of the other 2, I think Lady Deathstrike's very interesting.
Oh, that's such a good pick because I was going to go Silver Samurai for sure. Sell me on Deathstrike.
Well, I'm not saying it's great. I'm just saying it's an interesting card,
Yeah.
But so on reveal,
on
reveal, destroy each card here with less power than this. So it starts as a 3 power. I just think that's a great, turn 5, turn 6 if you're powering her up, right?
Yeah. No, 100%.
Again, but that takes an investment. So I'm not saying that maybe that's not worth the payoff.
It's when she's in conjunction with X23, right, and can cheat down to turn 4, or she's able to stack on top of X23, so you're destroying a couple cards on their side and giving you more energy.
Yeah. Well, yeah, now that I think I'm talking myself out of it as I'm thinking about it.
Oh, no. This is not the right salesman. The salesman. This is like an SNL skit. This
is why I don't work in sales,
Think of the vision. Think of the vision, right?
Yes.
So in the meta as it currently stands, what's a deck that's being played a lot? It's Thanos. Think about a lot of cards that are very good right now. Spider-Ham's good. Mirage is actually seeing a bit more play now that I'm seeing her a bit more on ladder, people grabbing her. There's going to be a lot of cards that, as they exist in Snap currently, just sit at that 2 or 3 power threshold, right?
Or if we broaden to some like legacy cards, the Lockjaw, the Iron Man, and the Dracula.
Dracula is
all very low powerful, very impactful. Zabu
as well. Now then if you want to go and build into her, I do think that you can go with something interesting like a Shuri, like Nakia, stuff like if you want to go
Forge,
that. I do like the idea that we saw with the Artem Zola play. I do like the idea of going Zabu into Wong, into Shuri, onto Wong, Lady Deathstrike, and then she wipes out everything, so you don't have to worrying about whatever, right? And she goes to 12, and then hitting the Zola on her, hitting the other 2 lanes. Here's the thing, though. That sounds great in theory and really cool, right?
Yes.
But your ceiling is 12 pretty much in that curve.
Yep.
How many times do you see cards that are bigger than 12 in the game?
A lot.
Darkhawk is one of those great
examples. Yeah.
So she kills all the small stuff around there. She kills the Rock Slide. She kills the Absorbent Man now that's getting played in those decks. She kills Legion maybe, but the Darkhawk and then the Devil Dino and the other 2 lanes are just like, hey, what's up, buddy? We win. We win by 1 point.
That was fun, but
yeah, that was cute,
but also that. I mean, we already talked Echo, right? But like what you just described feels like the day she comes out, people are gonna want it. Like that's the combo to try out the night that she comes out, and then really everybody Cosmo's down, right? It's like, well, okay, well we're not doing
okay.
This.
So now you go Echo, Zabu.
Yeah. You know, so we said that already, so that's definitely fair. But it's definitely like if you don't have Echo or you don't have all the cards, like I don't know how well
it's
that's gonna line
up. Just play a better deck.
Yeah, at that point,
because
that's the thing. Be the person that's playing Cosmo against them.
Is she good enough to slot into any deck as just a blanket good 5-drop? I don't think so. Is she also good enough to spawn her own deck? Also unsure about that, especially with Eliath around the corner in a couple months.
Cerebro 3. No, I'm just
kidding. Yeah, hit your own cards.
Yeah.
Hit your own Cerebro.
No.
Now, it is kind of funny if you use Lady Deathstrike and hit, what's it called? You hit like a Patriot deck, and then Patriot goes down, and then one of the other stuff goes down around
Mystique,
Patriot, and then you hit those next, like the order of the events.
The order, yes. The order, I think, would be one at a time. It would check.
Yeah.
That seems to be how the game processes absolutely everything. So
that's cool. It's just how often is that going to be very good? So
Patriot's kind of fallen out a little bit right now. Lady Deathstrike's going to be hard. My Legion pick for this next season is definitely Silver Samurai. This guy looks cracked. The hand attack is so brutal, especially with what me and Brad have already been playing, which is Ham and Bolt. And the opponent is just sitting with, oftentimes, 2 cards. One's a pig, and then one's a real card at the final turn. And you're like, I'm going to be really aggressive here because I know that I can. And if I'm knocking yet another card out of their hand, I have an extra consistency factor of scoring on stature. Ooh.
Yeah, it's just the only thing you have to worry about with that is making sure that you don't have stature already down to a 1 when you play him. Stature,
which is very unlikely to happen.
True,
but yes,
but maybe not. Maybe in the world where he's released and we have Daken running around and this hybrid destroy discard deck comes to fruition, then maybe that's going to be a bit more easy to happen than we would think.
Daken on 3, Silver Samurai I have 4. And then,
yes, exactly.
That's
and then Daken doubles.
That's very good, right?
You knocked a card out of their hand, then you follow up with Black Bolt. They have nothing in hand. They're top decking, and then you hit them with the stature plus anything. Right?
Legion.
What are they going to do?
Stature Legion is my favorite thing to do on 6 right now.
Exactly. Why not?
It's so good.
Yeah, there's 14 points, and you manipulate the location in all 3 spaces. It's really good. And if you throw in a Black Widow in the early curve to just pinch him that much harder, ooh. Ouch.
Yeah, and then we're also you can't overthink it. Like there's gonna be decks like that that's gonna be nice to brew around with the samurai and stuff with Daken and things. But you know what else? Just the classic
just better than Hellcow.
Zabu Darkhawk, another card that gets benefit from Zabu, and then Darkhawk already likes to play the Black Bolt stature package on occasion. That's still very good.
I was gonna say just in Apocalypse Discard, it's better than Hellcow.
Yeah,
if you have Colleen Wing into Silver
targeted.
Samurai and suddenly you have lots of swarms, that is amazing.
Yeah.
And then you roll into MODOK on 5 and you've got a handful of, they're all swarms. Oops, all swarms.
And now you might want to go into Nakia for that too. Nakia also makes, I think Samurai makes Nakia better for that hand buff deck that you like, Teddy. Because you get to target your swarm and things like that. Or your Wolverine or whatever, and you have a bit more control. Because here's the reason that he's going to be very good, and it's my pick, spoiler, for the Legion of this month, is because you get to choose and build around what you're going to be trying to discard 9 times out of 10. Your opponent doesn't. Yes, it's the lowest power card in the hand.
But by turn 4, right, like that card could be...
Oh, wait, what am I thinking about stature for earlier? It's the lowest power card, not cost.
Yeah.
So that's way easier.
I was thinking the same thing.
Hawk is 0 in hand, baby. Cut.
That's true.
Oh,
that
is true. So brutal. It's so brutal. They're going to be losing Hawks left and right. Silver Samurai can't come soon enough because the patch did not change Zabu Hawk.
I don't think it should. I think that's a deck that's it's a deck that should exist in the meta, similar to like Sarah Control. Because it's something that's blanket decent against most decks, but is not impervious to all decks. or literally any deck, I would say. I think the only deck that Darkhawk has like a great matchup against is Thanos, and even that one I would say is more 60-40 as of late than I don't think there's someone that Darkhawk is typically my favorite card in the game and one of my favorite characters as well. I used to think Thanos was the most easy, I win every single time, but the newest renditions and the way people have been fine-tuning these Thanos lists, it's not as easy to just say, oh, I have Darkhawk, I win.
To be fair, Thanos just lost its Spider-Man.
That's
and
true.
then the Zabu Hawk also just murders Lockjaw. Lockjaw is a good boy. He loves to fetch those rocks.
I don't think the
kind of been falling off
Lockjaw
the
version
meta
is
too.
what you should be doing for
No, I don't think so.
For Thanos,
But if that comes back around, or if Lockjaw was very popular for a time, and then Hawk emerged as a little bit of a soft counter and a predator, so it's looking very good, and these cards are looking very exciting. You guys are going to let us know down in the comments below, what is your headline card? Because we each ended up landing pretty high on a lot of the different pieces releasing. This is an incredibly exciting season. That's going to be rolling into yet another incredibly exciting season with Loki around the corner.
Oh, man.
So be smart with your budgets.
I want to be excited about August, but September, I'm like, bring it to me now.
Yes.
Death and Taxes, baby. Give me Death and Taxes card and Snap. That's the deck I want to play the most. It's my favorite archetype in any game ever because I'm an asshole. I love it.
All right. Do you have any final words of wisdom you want to drop on our listeners for the upcoming cards?
It's all you, Michael.
Oh, it's not about the cards. I just had an important question I wanted to ask. Brad, how many times have you watched Mad Men?
7 or 8.
Oh, okay.
I thought he was going to say 8 because it had been a whole 2 weeks since he mentioned it last time.
It was 7 or 8 from what I can remember, but yeah, it's.
I don't know why I felt like I needed to ask you that, but
you hadn't watched it yet again in the 2 weeks since.
No, I am rewatching The Boys currently though.
Oh, The Boys.
In anticipation
when is
of the new season. It's supposed to be the end of this year.
Yeah,
is what we're thinking.
Get a crossover.
I don't think it's not confirmed yet. But the reason I love that show so much is because I think it's the most realistic take on what superheroes would be like in real life.
If they were real,
I don't think it's like Marvel and stuff like that. I think it'd be just straight up like the worst thing ever. Horrible.
Chaos.
Have you read Brandon Sanderson's Steel Hearts? I've heard that it's a very similar idea.
I have not.
Okay. I'm a huge Sanderson fan, but I haven't picked that one up yet.
I haven't read any of Sanderson's books, but I live in the same county as him, so there's that, But
oh, that's amazing! Yeah. Wow, we could meet up when I inevitably go to Sanderson Con one of these years.
There you go.
I would ask, but I don't want to dox you.
Oh no, yeah, I'll tell you after if you really want to know. But yeah, my office is probably like 10 minutes from his house. So
cool.
Is there any show you've watched a bunch, Michael? Close to the 7 or 8 seasons of Mad Men?
So when I was listening to your guys' conversation about that, I don't know if I've done it with a show. Most shows I watch once, maybe like twice, but I do it with movies. There's movies I've watched like 11 times. Like when I really like a movie,
The Goonies.
For me, like it's a lot of it. Almost all of Christopher Nolan's movies I've seen.
Have you seen Oppenheimer?
I haven't seen it yet. With kids, like I'm like, there's like 3 movies I'm behind on seeing in theaters that I want to see while they're still in theaters. But like I just watched Arrival the other night. I don't know if you guys have seen Arrival, the sci-fi movie, like Dennis Villeneuve.
Arrival is one of my favorite sci-fi movies of the last like decade. It's
well done. I think it was like my 7th time watching it, and it's just at this point where I feel like I can appreciate it more and more every time I watch it, right? So I like watching movies over and over again. Like, and sometimes it's to my detriment because I like don't want to branch out and watch new movies. I'm like, why would I watch a new movie when I can watch this movie that I know is a masterpiece?
It's my comfort movie.
Yeah, so it's the same with the shows. Yeah, but I don't know if there's a show I've ever watched more than twice in my life. So,
there you go.
Yeah.
Everybody's got their own favorites. Well, I've got to hop on a stream and start testing Daken. He is alive at the moment. You guys can check out all of our coverage for me and Brad Theory testing. Brad, you just started streaming. You want to pitch that?
Yeah, I finally started streaming on my YouTube channel, which is youtube.com @Bradsifer or whatever. I finally figured out how to make it work where it's not laggy on a Mac because I am not buying a new PC at this moment in time because that's expensive. But if y'all want to gift me a PC, my Cash App is at Bradsford. You can go ahead and invest. But seriously, no, the streaming has been a lot of fun. Let's get some Infinite tickets and let's have a lot of fun hanging out. Hey, maybe Teddy, we'll do some a co-op thing where we backseat game with one another, annoy the hell out of each other, or maybe go hop into battle mode and talk a little shit with some dumb decks. Color themed decks is something I wanted to do. All purple, all green.
That sounds very fun.
Okay. Or all. I like the cat. The all cats deck, and you can include like any variant art in the throwdown. Has a cat. The new rescue. Oh, she's so cute.
We'll set someone up. That sounds fun. Let's do some theme stuff.
Michael, it's incredible to have you back.
Thank you guys for having me. I had a blast. I love talking Marvel Snap, and it's going to be a great season. But again, if you guys want to have me back on in September, I will. I'm excited for September. I'll say that.
Yes, we're going to have to.
We'll do. Already done.
You know what? One other thing before we go. We should do a big watch party for Loki season 2.
That would be fun.
That'd be very fun.
Maybe
watch the
a
season
stream
premiere
of some variety. I know there's a ways around it to do like the reaction stuff. You have to like heavily edit it in some variety, but I think that'd be really cool to do.
Yeah, I'm down.
We'll put it on our radar. I like the idea. All right. That'll do it for us here at the Can't Stop Snapping podcast. All you guys, hope you guys have enjoyed. You can find this in its unedited and entire audio format on any of your podcast providers, or you can split between the YouTube channels of me at Teddy Ninja and Brad at Bradsifer to be able to find the video cuts. Hope you guys enjoy. You have to let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Till next time, thank you guys for watching. Don't stop snapping.
See ya.